Well, I'm joined now in the studio by the political and security analyst Imad Mesdoua to discuss the implications of this story. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. How impartial would you say the court was in this case?
Well, the judicial system in Egypt has a terrible reputation when it comes to impartiality. So we have to take this verdict in a wider context of political uncertainty. And really, the Muslim Brotherhood overall has faced a lot of persecution since it's left power. You have mass death sentencing of Muslim Brotherhood officials, Muslim Brotherhood supporters. And I think Mohammed Morsi is just the tip of the iceberg, because he represents much more than just himself. He represents the movement, the movement's credibility and its legitimacy, because he was its first president in power. So we have to view the impartiality or the partiality of the court in the wider context of political uncertainty and really the persecution of the Brotherhood in recent years.
But as a keen observer of Egyptian affairs, would you say you were surprised by this verdict, or did you expect it to be worse?
Well, given what I've mentioned earlier, the fact that senior Brotherhood leaders had faced harsh sentencing, Mohammed Morsi and a number of other senior Brotherhood officials, considering how harsh their sentencing was, I think we were a bit surprised that he only received 20 years sentencing in prison. However, it's worth noting that there are still a number of charges pending against him that we have to monitor in the next few months. And perhaps he's escaped the death sentence for now, but there are other pending charges against him.
Absolutely. Now, what's the current state of the Muslim Brotherhood? I mean, has its back now been effectively broken in Egypt?
I think that's difficult to say. Certainly the group has not lost the popularity that it has with its base. If anything, I would say that the kind of persecution that it's faced on a political level has actually radicalized fringes of the base, who have some of which have turned to jihadist violence and jihadist groups. So I think the base remains very much loyal to the party and its ideology. However, with much of its leadership now either in prison or underground being persecuted, it's difficult to say what the future of the party as a whole, as it stood in the past, what its future is going to be like in the next few years.
But of course, this verdict against the symbolic, figure of Mohammed Morsi could harden the rump of the Brotherhood that's still left, perhaps make them more determined.
Absolutely. I mean, we certainly saw it from the images once the court sentence was read out. A lot of defiance from the people who were sentenced. They were showing the sign of the 4 sign, which is a sign that the Brotherhood uses to claim legitimacy. I think the broad majority has actually resigned itself to the political reality that the army has taken control and that this is a Sisi-ruled Egypt now. However, as I said, there are people in the margins that have resorted to violence, that will continue to resort to violence because of political repression, and that pattern has existed throughout the Arab world and in Egypt's history for many decades now.
Okay, just in the wake of all this, what do people in Egypt now feel about the Arab Spring? Are they still optimistic about it, or is there a sense that, as you hinted there, Egypt is back where it started and is once again under the cosh of military rule?
Well, I think we have to be wary about making generalizations for the way the military and Sisi in particular are perceived. I just want to remind you and the audience that Sisi is still very much actually popular in vast sections of Egyptian society. So he enjoys popularity. I think there is a bit of disillusion, particularly from the elements that pursued the Arab Spring adventure. People who are young, people who are from the leftist movements in Egyptian society, those groups are definitely disillusioned. But I think most Egyptians, after what happened between 2011 and 2013, the main thing they aspire to, the thing they aspire to now is stability, and really for whoever is in power to deal with their day-to-day bread and butter issues. Socioeconomic grievances are what they want addressed, and I think the Arab Spring to this day has not met those demands.
Okay, Imad Mesdoua, for the moment, thank you very much indeed.